Hi there, I'm James Osborne, the co-founder of the Recruitment Network, and this is the TRN Podcast. Every week, we unpack the strategies, the technologies, the processes and mindsets fueling today's top-performing recruitment agencies. We take a look behind the scenes of some great recruitment businesses. We listen to the real-life stories of those who have built those businesses, and we learn from some of the industry's greatest thought leaders to help you become both future fit and future relevant. Then let's begin with this next episode of the TRM Podcast.
So Charlie Sell, let's go straight into it. Before I sort of introduce you, probably best to do it yourself. You've got quite a lengthy history in recruitment, I would say. I'm not saying you're old, but you've been around the block a little bit, right? Sort of stuff. But what I'm interested in today is that you've got quite a different and varied background. So what you've done and what you're doing now, etc. So do you want to give us the sort of story of Charlie in recruitment to how you started to where we are today?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Charlie Sell started in recruitment 18 years ago for a total startup at the time, a two-person business called Arrows Group, in an office the same size as our studio today, and fell for that business. I was one of the few people who actually chose recruitment. I studied accounting and economics at uni, did a accounting internship, did not enjoy it. I didn't realize I was going to be the best at that, but loved sales and loved people, and really took my time to think where that would go, and met these two young guys who had started a business and went from there. So over a 10, 15-year period of that business, we were fortunate enough to grow it to a pretty sizable place where we went to an MBO in 2015, where I got my first taste of an event, and where recruitment can really, if you do it right and you build a brilliant business, you can get the rewards from it. And off the back of that, I was fortunate enough to then think about what I wanted to do and went into consulting. Thought I was ready to semi-retire. I wasn't. And I rejoined a founder to start a collection of businesses to do total talent solutions. So I felt that recruitment has and should always be more than the contingent side of give me a job, fill a job. What we do and what we offer as an industry is a professional service. And I'm passionate about that. So we went on a journey of starting an embedded business called Booster, an employee value proposition business called Pivot, a number of different companies under a group. And learn a lot. I mean, you failed as much as you succeed in this life. But I had amazing journey.
And that proposition was about going into an organisation and saying we can touch your whole talent strategy from lots of different angles. Basically.
That's it. It's really trying to elevate the work, the value that we can offer our clients, way to the point of being at C-suite decision making.
Right.
So when the business, no matter what size they are, the people strategy is, if it's not number one, it's the top three things any business needs to think about if they're going to thrive or be successful. So for us as an industry that was built on people strategy, we've got to elevate ourselves, and those services are going to be way more than the traditional contract or perm. So we looked at various models. How can we really help with talent acquisition? How can we really help with our company's employer brand? How can we really help with retention? And, some of the things we've really succeeded in, and things are quite cycle. So, the embedded talent world went through phenomenal booms and then real challenges. And then most recently, with hydrogen as the COO for EMEA, which was an AIM-listed, very well-known contingent business that's going on a total journey itself for the last 2 years. And I've joined them to really try and take them on that journey of total talent solutions.
Fantastic. And obviously working with us as well.
And working with TRN as an advisor, which has just been really, really rewarding.
Oh, you're just saying that. But I'll take it, which is great. But what made you go back into hydrogen as a COO? That's a bit sort of like get your fingernails dirty again and go back in. What made you go back into it when you could be chilling out in Winchester?
The CEO, their purpose. What I've learned is people have asked me many times why I didn't start my own recruitment business up if you're that passionate. And one thing I've learned through my skill set is I'd much rather be part of a team and a journey and thrive with a team than try and do things on my own. And life is too short to work for a paycheck to not get value in what you're doing. And you should always be pushing yourself. And I try to live that values. And I also think that whenever you take a new journey, you should do it off the back of being on a high rather than a low. So you get to the point of a business, if you are so fed up of where you're working and you're demotivated, it's quite a challenge to throw yourself into something. Whereas if you control your career
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking at forever adding value,
Yeah.
you're in control of your future. And so with
Nice.
a major group, I'm still incredibly close with the founder. I've worked with him for 16, 18 years.
Yeah.
But it was time for a new challenge on a high.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met the CEO of Hydrogen that was going on this journey, you know, it's an opportunity to see, right, let's roll our sleeves up and do something different.
I'm fascinated by the total talent solution stuff, because a lot of companies talk about doing this, right? And you know, a lot of recruitment businesses are going, well, we're not recruitment companies, we're talent advisory businesses, talent consultancy, and many of them aren't, not all, but many of them aren't, because they literally just bolt something on and pretty it up a little bit on a brochure. It's like, well, we do that. You don't. Your journey, was it an acquisition journey? So did you buy in lots of different types of specialist companies, or was it a case of let's find someone really good and back them to go and build something?
Both.
Okay.
So the first journey of it was our embedded talent, which was basically the idea that came from my senior contract consultant. We had a marquee client that we had grown a contract, a phenomenal contract, number of runners with, but they were wanting more from us. And it was his brainchild, to be totally honest, that came and said, I've heard of these embedded businesses. I think I can rival them. We can do better. And so we started that organically with backing him, and that flourished. But then off the back of that, realised we're onto something here in regards to what else is out there.
Yeah.
So we did a couple of acquisitions, more geographical acquisitions. So we wanted to get into Germany and how do we offer wider solutions? And there was a really good right-sized business there. We merged, so Major Players and Arrows Group became a merger, and that was a cultural alignment on, okay, how do we offer more to clients with a value set of culture and the EVP. And then one that, you know, came and failed pretty quickly was an employee value proposition business where we backed a guy in San Fran, amazing, lovely guy. But that was my first taster of, if you're not able to really support, distance plays such a critical part.
Right.
And that was more of an ego play. If we wanted to be in America doing something different than it was actually reminding ourselves of lessons learned.
Right.
You need to follow a strategy for when you're doing acquisitions or organic startups. And getting to your point, are you trying to do something genuinely different, or are you just taglining something? Because if you're doing something different, it takes time.
Do you? I want to explore this a bit more detail, because a big part of what we're here to talk about today is like, where's the market going? What's the future look like? And a lot of recruitment businesses are just trying to figure out what they should be moving forward. A lot of businesses have had I'm going to say an interesting ride over the last couple of years, and the last 5 years even. So some of it's been really good. I think a lot of businesses learn quite a lot about their businesses when they're really buoyant, as much as they learn a lot about their business when their back's against the wall, and it's the other way sort of stuff. And I think there's a lot of lessons learned. I think that because the last couple of years have been this quite long, drawn out period, it's been long, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it hasn't been really deep, I don't think. It's just been dragging and dragging and dragging for a lot of people, which then does give you a little bit more time to think, bizarrely. And I think a little people now are really starting to just try and grapple with, what do I have to look like to make this thing work? Because the markets are different. I'm a massive believer that the markets are never going to come back to what they were before.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about the recruitment revolution. It is a revolution, I think. And I think that's really exciting, right? Because in any massive change, there's a huge opportunity. I mean, you heard me a minute ago, I was on the phone, someone looking to try and buy a whole lot of recruitment companies. And that's great. So there's definitely an appetite there. If I'm let's start with a classic recruitment business, 12 consultants, a couple of back office staff, and a founder or two in the business, so a 15 headcount business, and they do traditional recruitment, bit of perm, a little bit of contingent, a little bit of contract, and they're just trying to. It's been a tough year. They know the year ahead will carry on being tough unless the market significantly changes, which we can't really trust at the moment. What would you say to them is their journey ahead, and what could it look like?
Yeah, great. I mean, great question, and it's the $1 million question. I mean, I break it down into two camps. With a business that size, either they've got to go super niche.
Yep.
They've got to be really, really specific about what the value they can offer to a specific client base, a specific candidate pool, and be just the leading expert within that niche. And the smaller you are, the more niche you need to be to actually inch wide, mile deep. If you are a business that, you know, that because a 15-person business can offer, you know, for the founders and the staff, can be really rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, so if that's your ambition, is to stay at that size, 15 to 30 people, be niche, be really, really good, and learn how to use technology and value-added services to those specific clients rather than trying to be bigger or better than you are.
And those value-added services, is that to get you sticky with them or to get more revenue out of them? Or
sticky.
So
Sticky.
sticky.
Don't try and create multiple services you can't deliver on.
Yeah.
It's being sticky. It's that advisory play to get that program of work, which is people placing people in that niche sector. The other side of it is the companies that are going to thrive are those who are really thinking, if you're 15 people and you're wanting to grow and expand, you've got to be thinking of value-added services that are revenue streams to what you offer. Recruitment is one of the few industries, and I know we've discussed this over the years many times, where traditional recruitment companies offer every part of a consultancy service for free to get the end result of placing someone, even then potentially with rebates and dropouts, losing that revenue.
Yeah.
Whereas there is a value at everything that we offer a client. And if you are a small business, you need to productize your value set to be able to either get a revenue from it or take the customer on the journey of understanding that there's the value that you give them at the end is worth every penny that they pay, and your margins 20%, 30%. They get absolute value for it. And so,
well, we had Nick Barton in here recently from the Barton Partnership, and he was talking. Obviously, they've built a business which is we have a consultancy arm. We go to market with that. We charge for it, and on the back of that, we get talent solutions come off the back of it. It's just like it's the perfect solution, right? And that's why it's done so well. So
and it's and so he's thinking of value-added services and what the clients are willing to pay for.
Yeah,
because if you compare. That's why I say recruitment is a professional service. When you think of the management consulting businesses out there, the Big Five, the Deloittes, the Accentures, they all have human capital divisions, which are people trying to advise on workforce strategies from people who are not in the industry day in, day out, speaking to candidates, other clients, really with their pulse on it. And so to bring it back to the question of a 15-person business, you are still the SME of your space without a shadow of a doubt. And if you want to scale, you need to productize those values so that you can either win more clients, more market share and grow, or you can get more revenue from specific clients and grow your revenue streams.
You touched on the word consultancy quite a few times, and we call ourselves recruitment consultants. That's our job, right, to be consultants. I've got a couple of questions around that, and I suppose the first one is: do you think we have the skill set within our business to be consultants? Because it's really interesting. Because you talk about and I've heard this before. There's the sort of the proper consultancy firms, and there's recruitment down here, and there's this gap in the middle. And what we're trying to do is go into that gap now and play in that gap, miss out all this stuff and reduce the cost for our clients. It makes sense, which is brilliant. But you need a certain skill set to be able to do that. Traditionally, a lot of recruiters that we hire, we train them to become recruitment administrators of a process, find the candidates, move them in, move on, type stuff. I'm not being patronising. It is what it is, to an extent. Do you think we've got the skills set within our industry, or is there a massive shift that's going to have to happen to get people ready to be able to have those conversations in a boardroom rather than a meeting room type thing?
Yeah, again, brilliant question, because it's what we're living every day in, day out right now. So the short answer is it's not going to, the future of recruitment is not going to fit the same profile of a young person yesterday as it will tomorrow. Because of that process led. There is no future in my eyes of hiring lots of young people with no skills, not really developing them or training them, but putting them into a process that they can automate and do over and over again. Technology, AI is going to replace low-level skills. This creates both a risk and an opportunity in every profession, legal, accountancy. How do you really train young people or new people into an industry without that bootleg part of it? So my view of, are people ready or can they upskill? 100% yes, if they're given the understanding, the motivation, the belief of what they already know has a value. Secondly, if you're actually productizing what they do and you're putting them through. Recruitment is one of those industries that, because there isn't an academic qualification or official programs.
There is now. There's a couple.
Okay, but those who need to be mainstream to study.
Yeah.
It feels like it can be, the barriers to entry are quite low. I think the barriers to entry are going to get higher and higher and higher, because the type of people that's going to join the industry are going to push the boundaries. Now that the industry is no longer known for hiring lots of young people, working them super hard, paying them high commissions, and the average tenure is 5 years, and then repeat. The average tenure, when I look at hydrogen, but a lot of our members in TRN, average tenures are going 5, 10, or being in the industry, maybe not the company, but in the industry. We've now got people in the industry 10, 15, 20 years still thriving, and they have an expertise that you need to unlock, and they shouldn't be doing the same job that they did 15 years ago. There's a real captured talent pool to say you have got an expertise here that you could go toe to toe with any person from one of those big consultancies who's going to come to the table saying, I've got a degree from Oxford and I've got 2 years human capital experience, and you're going, I've got 15 years experience of total talent or talent workforce solutions, working across 100 different companies, having placed 500 different people in my career. You're going to have a lot more value than the academic.
That's I mean, you're absolutely spot on, and that in itself is a compelling sales pitch, right? Just there and then, and presumably we're not charging the same as the big five. We could probably get close to it if we wanted to, but there's definitely a price differentiation as well. The benefit for the customer must be huge.
Well, that's it. But we sell the benefit not on being a low cost solution. That's the mistake I think businesses make. We do it because we don't have the overheads, and we talk about the bench, the big five. The overheads that they have to run, the shareholders, the stakes, their cost points are covering a lot more than the consultative services. Yeah. With our businesses, 80% of our staff are consultancy services. We don't have to utilize benches of consultants to go, and everyone is live doing the job. So that's why we're more price competitive, because we are literally costing up the value of our service rather than offices all around the world and big, all the things that comes with the big consultancies.
And presumably as well, because there's a really interesting debate, not debate, it was a discussion I was having with someone the other day. We were talking about how some of the lower skill areas around the world will able to represent themselves as more skilled workers because of AI and technology, right? So you could be someone who's a low skilled worker in a third world country almost and have access to AI and then be able to suddenly now represent yourself as a marketing genius, and because I could got AI agents working for me, and I find that fascinating because it just really opens up the world of work. With recruiters, their ability now presumably to act more as a consultant with AI in their pocket is really empowering, because one of the big things that the big lot have, or the big consultancies have, is they have data and all that type of stuff. We've now got access to all that data in theory because we've got AI and we've got all these things going. So do you see this whole, and we do have to talk about AI obviously today, do you see this whole AI thing playing to our advantage in this journey towards more of a consultancy-led type product?
So 100% yes. Okay. I mean, I'm biased as well because recruitment tech is my background, my passion. So I spend a lot of time looking at the competitive advantages of it. But for me, what AI will really do is pivoting our industry from being a sales industry to a relationship industry. The future, and we're no longer talking about winning clients, we're talking about winning market share. Because if you use AI properly, the only thing AI has not replaced yet, in my opinion, is your ability to build relationships, influence relationships, and trust. But AI will replace the automation, the low-level skills, the mass volume stuff of what we need to do. So as a recruiter, your question earlier about we call ourselves recruitment consultants. Are we truly consultative? AI will allow you to be consultative. If you harness it the right way. There's a lot of people who are using AI the wrong way. They're using it as shortcuts and ways of trying to do mass sort of marketing, if you like.
Well, they're playing with it, right?
They're playing with it, and they're looking at it as what's the quickest way of getting to a result, rather than how does this provide me a USP, proper information that I can use to win market share, whether that's within a client or an industry or a sector. And the best example of this is within our business. We innovate, we allow a lot of people to use AI, but what they were coming back with was using ChatGPT to reframe an email that they were going to send to someone to to maybe sound more professional or better, and then they were going to send it out to 100 people. And it's like, no, yes, there's an element of grammar checking, but AI is better to get you market insights, to have the bots telling you exactly what's happening for that customer, and go and use it to win the customer.
So my second question about consultancy, because we were talking about it, and I really love this, and it's what I've always, my background in recruitment, when I started out in recruitment, the first training course I ever went on was a consultative sales training program. So basically, how do you become a consultative salesperson? So how do you sit in someone's boardroom, ask them the right questions, get interested in their product, the old school way? But God, it's good, and it really, really is. And I don't see much of that happening as much as I like to see happening across the industry. But that's the consultancy side. I think we'd all probably agree with that. And we'll come back to that in a second. Outside of the consultancy as a product, what other products do you think, or other monetizable service lines do you think a recruitment company should maybe offering in the future outside of that?
Yeah, really good question. So, I mean, in terms of products and whether you can do it as a service or as an actual physical tech product, I believe I break it down into 5 sort of core service areas. What can we do to help a client with their employer value proposition? So whether that's through tech or through recruitment, how do we amplify them, make them best, make them the most attractive place that someone wants to hire?
So make them famous in front of your market of candidates.
That's it. Right. Yeah. So old school days was advising people on Glassdoor and stuff like this. But the new days now is how do you use technology, AI, whatever it is, to make yourself the most attractive person, the business. What do you have to do? There's a real advisory piece that you can either automate through, there's so many platforms now that a startup company can just make themselves look so much more professional and what you want to do. The actual internal workings of a client to hire great people, ATS systems, train the trainer, the hiring managers, there's tech, there's services we can now offer to put hiring managers through a training scheme that we can productize, white label, many, many ways that can say, right, to get your business fit for hiring your managers, they need upskilling in the candidate journey and how they do it. We have a product, we have a platform, you can white label it. There's ATS systems now that you can white label to an end client. I don't know if it's appropriate to name drop any of them.
No.
And then there's always that program of work. And this is, that is the people bit. Contingent, SOW, MSP, RPO, whatever it is. Onboarding and retention. Like, how can you help a client really understand the onboarding journey of their people they're hiring, they're retaining them? Again, you can white label products, engagement tools, you can be advisors on how to properly use Slacks, Donuts, all of these things that we're working with clients on. You can put a product on it. You can say, and then the last piece, as I say, is the advisory, where although for me, the people element of our industry is why our industry is future-proof, because they're, buying a house, getting a job, and I can't remember the third, are the 3 most stressful and emotive things a human goes through. And so there'll be the last
getting married must be up there.
Well, getting married.
No disrespect to my wife if you're
Yeah. But if you think about it, because they're stressful, they'll be the last things that people will fully trust into AI from an advisory place. You're not going to ask a boss at the moment, I've got these 2 compounding offers, which one should I go for? And the bot's going to come back and tell you, well, based on this, it will happen one day. But at the moment, they speak to people, whether it's friends, colleagues.
Well, and that word trust has come up time and time again over the last few weeks. Is the more AI is out there, the less people trust what they're seeing. So actually, how do you trust anything anymore? Well, the only way to do it is actually to sit with the person face to face and touch the flesh.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I look at an image online. I don't know if that's real or not. I look at a picture of my son and it could be completely doctrinated and this sort of stuff. Who knows? It probably is. But all these things. And so I think this trust play, I think, is such an important word that I don't think anyone is really giving enough time and attention to. And I think it's going to be a game changer. It's how you build proper trust with people, with your marketplace, with your candidates, clients, whoever. And I think AI is actually working in favour of the sense of it's almost like bastardizing the trust relationship piece.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I also think that's why our job is to add as much value to the customer as possible and give stuff up front for free to build trust, knowing that it will be part of your sales journey to get the program of work. And this is a thing that we teach a lot of, I speak a lot about within TRN and our customers, is if we truly productize the process and we understand where technology can replace the need for human intervention and all the rest of it. And we go to clients and say, okay, let's be really, our ultimate value to you is the ability to find you the best people for what you need. But there's a number of stages you're going to need before we can be really successful there. And as I mentioned, EVP or what have you. And then you say, there's a product to this. Now that product can cost you X, or I will do this for free with you to build the trust, because what I really want to do is add the value to you. So when you need that program of work, we are the first people you come to. And so often in our industry, we don't understand that if you give a little, you get a lot back with a client. If a client truly thinks and believes that you are there vested for their success, and you're there to make them look better to their stakeholders, CEOs to shareholders, hiring managers to their bosses, if you make them look better and help them achieve what they need to achieve, you win the work. And if you can use AI and data to make your job easier to do that,
and at scale,
you are going to gain market share. And this is where recruitment can be seen as it's a really saturated, it's really competitive market space. It is, but it is if you're all doing the same thing. There isn't. If you are brave enough to go 1 inch up and look above the parapet, you will suddenly realise it is untapped. And they're the companies that will thrive in the future. Is how do we add value, and not because it's fluffy and it's nice and we want to, it's because value turns into commercial outcomes. People will be willing to pay better margins. They'll be willing to pay, give you more work, more market share. And AI and data, in my opinion, will help, amplify that. It will destroy your credibility if you're using it, as you say. I mean, the amount of posts I now see, on LinkedIn that you can spot an AI, and it's losing value. But podcasts, webinars, face-to-face relationships,
We're not actually real. I'm just making
Although it should make me look a lot thinner
if we were
maybe 10 years younger.
Exactly. It's funny actually because you talk about that thing about standing out above the parapet and sort of being different, etc. We had 70 recruitment leaders together yesterday in town, and I put a big slide up right in the middle of it of a purple cow. The old analogy of the purple cow effect. And that's exactly what we need to be thinking about. But again, not for the. I just want to make a nice brochure reasons. It's actually there's a real strategic intent behind this. The piece that doesn't concern me, but it's something that will concern people listening to this, is that this move to becoming more of a consultancy, this move of giving stuff away for free for a period of time, that building that trust and et cetera, that's a long-term strategy. A lot of people in recruitment who are running recruitment companies at the moment, and probably not necessarily their fault, just by default of the tough market they've been through, are being very short-termism. They just got to we've just got to get some deals over the line here, guys. We've got to get cash back in the bank. I spoke to someone last night who reached out to me. I didn't know him, but he reached out to me and basically said, look, this is my business and I've got a cash flow issue. I just need help to get it over the line. And we've helped him sort it out last night. It wasn't a problem. But it was very much a case of I just need to get through tomorrow, just that sort of stuff. A lot of people aren't really thinking about the next 90 days or the next 180 days, etc. How does that SME 15-person recruitment business that's still just trying to fight to keep afloat or get some cash back in the bank to cover some of the old deficit, how do they start building this strategy out whilst at the same time keeping the business alight and afloat?
Yeah, I mean, again, another really good question, and it is a real challenge. Thinking off the cuff of it, it's very much, if I was a 15-person business and I'm thinking, right, who are my top spending clients that I'm really dependent on right now, and that's where we're getting cash in. I double down on them, but I also use them as part of my business strategy. Like, you get them involved in the conversations to think longer term, saying, right, you are key to us, so I want to come and speak to you about what would you want from us outside of the value that we offer you today. And if you get those clients on board, they become more stickier, more loyal. They give you, but they're helping you to shape that strategic approach moving forward. So again, it's that inch wide, mile deep. It's a risk. I mentor a number of some of our members, and it's a question that gets asked. I just need revenue in tomorrow. This is this is all nice, but what do we do? My challenge back would be, okay, what's your contract to perm split? Where's your recurring revenue coming from? And wouldn't it be a lovely place if you could be able to predict 6 months worth of revenue to give yourself time to think about the future? So what can you do today to get recurring revenue? And it doesn't ever have to still be, it's not just traditional recruitment anymore. It's committed SOWs, it's programs of work, retainers. It's like there's still the need for the the traditional methods
Yeah.
of hiring people. So I'd empathise and say, absolutely, don't go blue sky thinking and trying to add multiple products if what your problem is today is cash in the bank. But the longer you are firefighting, the longer you're going to stay in that firefighting phase. And unless that's a strategic decision of yours, so that's where you thrive. Don't get me wrong, I know some businesses that they thrive by constantly flying for the feet
Backs
of their
against
pants.
the wall.
Backs against the wall, and
Yeah,
that's their business. And actually you see them come alive. And so it's almost saying that's okay. If that's you and that's how your business runs, don't try and change it. But if you are trying to evolve it, do it with some successes behind you and with some visibility of cash.
Yeah.
And the lovely thing about our industry is it doesn't take much to actually start generating cash and getting recurring revenue. You've just got to be quite overt and concrete or strategic about what you're going to do and how you're doing it.
And deliberate about where you're spending it as well. So, I mean, I onboarded a new member fairly recently, and, the first thing you do is just like, let's go underneath the bonnet of your business and look at this sort of stuff. And they were trying to launch this new division. It's all sounding very exciting and very sexy and everything else. And I said, right, so what's the plan? Expecting to find out about this great strategic plan about that, the first deal's going to come in like 30 days, this sort of stuff. It's like, and it was all about, we're building a website. Should we get a new logo? What colours should it be? So we had a quote for 15 grand for the website. I was just like, oh my gosh, there's probably about 40 grand's worth of costs and weeks worth of distraction where they haven't even got their first deal in yet. And I was just like, you've got the person, just work that person hard with your current brand under anything else and just go and make cash in and bring cash in, because then you can then invest in it properly. But I do think sometimes we get a little bit caught up in the, I don't know, I always liken it to the old, you remember when you start a recruitment company up and you get your business card, and as soon as I can say London, Munich, New York, I've done it sort of stuff. That's probably the worst thing to do. It's like the death toll more than anything else. But so there is that piece about that, isn't it? It's about being strategic about where you're investing your money as much as it is about taking a longer term view, really, I suppose.
Well, that's where AI and data is actually dangerous, because there's so many. Dangerous is too strong a word, but can be a distraction because there is so many products out there now, and rec tech is a real industry now. So there is tech companies who are specifically targeting the recruitment space to ultimately try and add value, but already it's become noisy. And so many founders or COOs or business owners are getting distracted by being sold the latest next new AI platform that's going to make their job, their business revolutionary or what have you. And it's taking them away from remembering what's the day job. And all of a sudden you start thinking, well, my revenues are going down and I'm looking at this. So you're totally right. You've got to stay, and that will only increase. There will only be, there's an absolute fact that AI will 100x over year on year now. So it's going to improve. It's going to become bigger 100 times quicker. And so if you are not strategic about what you're doing, every other day you're going to get something new popping up and you're going to think it's the next flashy thing. So those distractions, to your point, are whether it's market, it used to be and it still is brand, marketing, logos. AI could start become that next distraction. How can I shortcut messaging, telephony, all these things?
Yeah, absolutely. And we always say to people, take a step back, get a piece of paper out, and start writing out on a piece of paper your enterprise strategy, rather than having lots of individual people with ChatGPT in their pockets doing different things. And I don't mind people playing with it, but that's not your strategy. We've got to build a proper strategy. You mentioned the statement of work. I'm just interested a bit more about that. Because that to me is always a bit of an exciting evolution of a recruitment company. Their ability to almost be paid for the delivery of an output rather than just the people to do the output sort of thing. Do you see SOW and other forms like SOW becoming more and more prevalent now going forward? And again, how does an SME recruitment business morph into that type of model? Or is this just the stuff that you've got to have 150 consultants to be able to do this?
No, it's again, really good questions, because it is something that's so live right now. So I think SOW, the word SOW has now been around for 10 years. And there's, I think for a small SME, we've got to be really clear, and you might as well be honest about what is the reason of talking about SOW, for the end client, because the clients will want SOW for two reasons. One, It's a wraparound, the ability to be able to engage us as a business partner that doesn't have to go through a lengthy procurement process and all the rest of it. And so that's just what it is. It's a means to be able to do business. Or it is a genuine service that you're offering that comes out of a CapEx budget, a different budget. It is time and you can have an SOW that is still based on time and materials rather than goals and milestones. And there's some myths there.
Right.
And what I mean by that is some people get distracted or scared of the word SOW when they think, hold on, this is milestones and deliverables. This is me having to commit to,
There's liability.
There's liability. There's risk here. No, there isn't risk if you do it on time and materials, but there is accountability. And that's what's great about an SOW. If you do an SOW properly, where you're getting both yourself and the client committing to milestones, which is they're just really good recruitment processes. We commit to delivering X number of CVs or candidates by this stage. You commit to feedback or interview availability. We commit to making sure we quality, the robustness. That SOW process, that just is just really good business practice. So when you sell it to a customer on what is the value for you, time efficiency, cost efficiency, because time to hire by doing this SOW, you've told us it's taking you 3 months to find these types of people through your various means. Capturing you under an SOW where we've got agreed timeframes and milestones, I can reduce that to 6 weeks. Well, if that was the pain point of the customer and you've given that solution, but the best thing about SOW is it can solve multiple problems. You've just got to know what the real pain point of the customer is. Because what people do, I think, wrong is we're forever an industry that's trying to tell the customer what they need to fix and not listening to what their real problem is. We assume they want people cheaper. We assume they want people faster. We assume they want... No, listen to what their real pain point is. And then you can use the SOW as a solution because it's agile. There isn't, although we template it, you are literally just capturing really good business.
And then you're going back to the consultant again, aren't you? So be a proper consultant up front and then work out what's the best solution you can provide off the back of it.
That's it. Yeah.
How big is Hydrogen?
Headcount 300 people.
300. So it's a sizable business.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? I'm not trying to sort of get you in trouble or anything, but so I was on the phone this morning over in Australia to one of the big recruitment companies over in Oz, sort of stuff, and chatting to them, and fascinating conversation about some of the stuff that they want from us actually, because they realise they can't do it themselves, which is great, TRN. But what do you think is going to happen to the really big players? So the ones traditionally. And I'm not saying this in a rude way, but the ones traditionally that have gone out and basically bought contracts off big clients because they've just gone out there and done a deal, and it's a global deal, and it's a big MSP or whatever. What do you think is going to happen in the future with those? Because I'm seeing at the moment, I'm seeing a market share shift where the smaller recruitment companies, the mid-tier recruitment companies, are definitely eating some of the lunch of the big players. And it can't be a price thing because they're not coming in and undercutting. They're probably coming in and adding maybe more value or more niche or whatever it might be. The sort of the layout of the recruitment world tomorrow, 12 months time. How does that look from a size point of view, and who's got the market share?
Yeah, again, this is just crystal ball stuff, but it is. I mean, this is the fun stuff, trying to work this out and predict it. The way we look at it, because with Hydrogen, but also my past businesses, we've been very overt in wanting a strategy of taking market share off the big players. How do we, whether that's big recruitment MSPs or big recruitment contingent players, how do we do it? And I feel quite passionately that there is a market there where customers are wanting more from us. It's not just about cost reduction. So these MSPs, managed service providers, they are only interested in customers that are needing 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, hires across multi-geos, big end up. And that's the world they're trying to play in.
Yeah.
Then you've got the small recruitment businesses that are ideally looking for customers that you've got direct stakeholder relationship with, maybe scaling 50 people would be your dream in a year. That would be a marquee client for you. There is an absolute market of customers, clients that are going through a people transformation with technology and people. If we had to use headcount, 50 to 300 hires in a year that no one is playing in right now. And this is where, because it's not deemed big enough For the big players, it's deemed as too big, or there isn't a value set because they're too niche. There is an absolute world of opportunity here, and the sales pitch here, because some of the big players are now trying to come into that space. You know, they realise, right, there is, you know, it's better to have 10 customers hiring 300 odd people than it is one of 1,000, and when we lose it, we're bust. But you sell against this because it's not their business model. They don't have the agility infrastructure that we do, and then again, you're not being niche. So although that may not directly answer the question, it's more about that there's so much. If you understand where the market opportunity is, go to that. And the other thing about recruitment and what we're doing, we influence the economy through the confidence we give our customers and our candidates on the opportunities of what they need to do. If we are going out there and telling our customers and our clients, it's busy, it's buoyant, you know, it will give them confidence to hire and vice versa.
It creates that urgency.
It creates that urgency, and there's a real need and understanding of just how influential we are as both a sector. But if you're that type of business who's going out there and offering that, again, consultancy services, advisory, you're going to create your own market. You know, and that's what excites me.
I think you're so right with that. And I think, you know, we spend a lot of time talking to people about how you position yourself in the market. Even the stuff you write on social media and things. It's like, you've got to talk this up, guys. Because if you talk it up, people will follow, they'll get involved, they'll get excited. And we can, I think you can absolutely talk yourself in and out of a recession and a downturn. And I think the recruitment sector is a real flag bearer for that, because what we see happening and what is going to happen is people first before the economy kicks in afterwards. I think that's massive. And there was, I think, a post went out today. I think I put that post out this morning, but it was around, you know, how the market's grown again in March, April this year from a number of jobs in the UK. And the number one area, or one of the top areas, was business development people. So companies are now hiring salespeople again. Why were they hiring salespeople? Well, you know what happens next. You don't. That's not the hot thing you do right at the peak of the market. You do that to get the market going again. So we know the market is shifting again, which is good. And I think our job is to talk that up, which I think is important. And I've completely forgot the question I was going to ask you. The point you made about that market bit. So I won't say the company is, and I won't say the market necessarily, but there was a company I worked with a number of years ago who were targeting, they work with a particular niche area. And in that niche area, there are probably 4 or 5 major players. So everybody wanted to be on their PSL and that type of thing. And I just looked at it, I said to them, you've got so many consultants, 110 consultants, 120 consultants, all working in this area with this particular client. And they had the amount of times that clients let you down, change their mind last minute, all these different things that are going on, because it was still a contingent relationship, however you wanted to slice and dice it. So I said to them, let's map out all of the suppliers to that client, and then let's map out all of the suppliers to those suppliers to that client. That's now going to become our niche. And it was exactly what you said. It was that sort of size there. They're all a bit more agile. They're growing a bit more aggressively. We used to headhunt the talent out of them to place them in with them, and they loved it, and it was all great and that sort of stuff. And just the ability to do that, I think, strategically makes so much sense, and obviously a massive impact on their profits. How does a recruitment company, to my point, how does a recruitment company work out that niche? Because for me to say, just go and find the suppliers of the suppliers of the suppliers. But, you know, how do we go and find that niche area, whether I do telco, whether I'm doing construction, whether I'm doing whatever market I'm in, how do I find that really sexy niche at the moment that is not, it'll never be untapped, but it's certainly got potential?
Yeah. Again, really good question. So I mean, my personal way is surround yourself by people a lot cleverer than me. So I purposely spend a lot of time networking with VCs, PEs, but not these big players, but speaking to analysts, speaking to people in the market who have got research, who have got teams of researchers whose full-time job is to look at what are the upcoming markets, where's the movements, where they're going, and use that IP to then to set your own strategy up. You know, when you've got, you know, there's little indicators. So my background's tech. I learned this a long time ago, and I don't mind. I started my career with Accenture, as I said, as an intern. They have an R&D team that you spot these. If they start buying up companies or sectors, or they start investing in sectors, you know
that's going.
Yeah. They know something because they have got teams of people doing their research. So ESG is a great example, the environmental social governance, clean tech being, in the technology world. VCs, PE started investing in these companies about 5 years ago or more with a real intent, knowing that's future proof.
Yeah.
That is going to be around. Global warming is sadly real. Anyone who's solving that, not reporting on it, solving it is going to be backable.
Yeah.
They're going to give us returns. And so for me, it was a pivot. It was clean tech. But, right, there's something happening there. There's money going into it.